only one way to truly become fluent in Italian, but it's easier than you might think. Did you know that you only need around 2,000 core words to speak Italian fluently in everyday life? That's the magic number identified by the Italian linguist Tullio De Mauro. This is a collection known as the Lessico Fondamentale, or essential vocabulary. But here's the twist. How you learn those 2,000 words makes all the difference. Because if you've been memorizing verb charts and vocabulary lists, yet you still struggle to understand or speak real Italian, you're not alone. So in this lesson, you'll learn why studying more doesn't lead to fluency. You'll learn a surprising yet simple shift that helps you internalize Italian naturally. I'll also share my 3-step method that mimics how children and polyglots build fluency without obsessing over grammar. Now, these are the same things that I use to help me break through that I understand but I can't speak barrier, and it changed everything. It's simple, low stress, and yes, it might even include watching some TV as well. And don't worry about taking notes because I've done all that hard work for you. And to help you to practice and to revise all these different tips that I'm about to share with you here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet. Just click on the link in the description below this video. Pronti? Iniziamo! So what is the best way to learn those 2,000 core words and actually become fluent in Italian? It's a method called comprehensible input. And while it might sound a bit technical, it's actually how you first learned your language, your mother tongue. By listening, watching, and reading things that are slightly above your level, they start to make sense. Let's take a closer look and see how you can start to use it for yourself. Now, comprehensible input is a language learning approach that challenges the traditional classroom model. Instead of obsessing over vocabulary lists or memorizing grammar rules, this method is about becoming fluent in a language through what you hear and read. Now, this idea was developed by Dr. Stephen Krashen, an American linguist who, back in the 1970s, argued that there are 2 distinct ways to improve in a language. One is learning it by studying rules, charts, and structured lessons. Now, this is a conscious, deliberate process. The other is acquiring it, which means picking up the language naturally through exposure and context. Now, this is a subconscious process. Since you're not memorizing things, you're absorbing the language as you experience it. Now, Krashen believed that acquisition is what really leads to fluency. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Think about how children learn their first language. No one hands them a grammar book or forces them to memorize verb tenses. Now, instead, they're just immersed in the language through stories, games, songs, and even chit-chat. They take it all in naturally, and little by little, they start expressing themselves. Krashen's point is that we adults can do the same. Now, if you're new here, ciao, my name is Michelle. That's Michelle with 1 L. Now, I was born in Australia, and my Italian dad named me after my nonno, Michele. Thanks, Dad. But I didn't speak a word of Italian growing up. In fact, I learned it as an adult, and now I help thousands of students like you do the same using my unique 80-20 method. Now, if you want to learn Italian, connect with your Italian heritage, or just have more authentic, deeper travel experiences, you're in the right place. For more details about my online self-paced courses, visit intrepiditalian.com or visit the link in the description below. Let's take a look at how comprehensible input works. Now, according to Krashen, acquisition happens when you're exposed to a steady stream of comprehensible input, which is content like stories, videos, and conversations that we hear or read in the language we're trying to learn. But for it to work, the input needs to tick 2 boxes. The first one is it has to be comprehensible. This means you should understand most of it, not every word, just enough to follow along. Krashen says the sweet spot is when the input is just a bit above your current level, just enough to keep your brain guessing and also growing. Think of it like lifting weights. The load should be heavy enough to challenge you and build strength, but not heavy enough that you drop the bar. The idea here is the same. Language that pushes you just outside your comfort zone is what fuels real progress. For instance, if you are a beginner and you try to read My Brilliant Friend in Italian, chances are you'll get lost and won't understand anything. But if you read fairy tales like Cenerentola, Cinderella in Italian, you might learn a few new words. Now, to learn Italian grammar, expressions and vocabulary with the help of classic fairy tales like Pinocchio, Goldilocks and Snow White, make sure you watch my playlist right here. Now, the second box that you need to check is it has to be interesting. Now, this part is just as important. If you're bored, your brain won't engage with the content. And if your brain doesn't engage with the content, you're not going to learn. Surprise, surprise. Once again, let's look at children. They're 100% absorbed in what they see or hear because the input is delivered in ways that grab their attention. It's playful, emotional, and engaging. As adults, we need the same thing. The content we consume should be interesting enough to keep us hooked so that we actually listen, watch, and read. Now, at the core of Krashen's theory is one simple idea. Language sticks when the message we receive makes sense. The more the input is clear and compelling, the more our brain effortlessly absorbs the language like a sponge, and the meaning solidifies through real-life use. And over time, speaking starts to happen naturally. Let's take a look at some examples of comprehensible input. Now, the good news is that you don't need some special kind of content to get comprehensible input. It can be anything in Italian, as long as you understand well enough to stay engaged and follow along. That means you're not limited to boring textbooks or stiff learner dialogues. You can use real conversations, Italian TV, pop culture, even social media. Now, here are some examples across different formats. For audio input, you can consider things like podcasts, audiobooks, voice messages with Italian-speaking friends, Italian radio stations, and Italian music. There's also audio-visual input, such as TV series, movies, YouTube videos, Instagram Reels, or TikTok videos. You can also look for text-based input, such as books, news articles, and blog posts. Now, if you're just starting out, it's totally fine to begin with simplified materials, but at some point, try to challenge yourself. It's easy to stay in your comfort zone, but real progress happens when you start engaging with native level content. That's where you'll encounter real expressions, humor, slang, and cultural quirks that you won't get from any textbook, and it's delivered in a fun way. Now, to help you get started finding the right content for your level, don't miss my guide here to 17 best Italian movies and series on Netflix, from beginner to advanced students. Okay, what makes comprehensible input so effective? Now, there are several reasons to love this approach, far beyond the fact that it feels more natural and accessible. Here are the main points to consider. Now, it builds motivation. When you understand what you're hearing or reading, even just a little, it's exciting. You stop seeing Italian as a school subject and start seeing it as something that you can really use, and that feeling is really motivational. It also fuels your self-esteem. There's nothing like those, wait, I understood that moments. Comprehensible input fuels your confidence by putting understanding first, before speaking and writing. The more you absorb, the more comfortable you become trying new words out, taking risks and feeling less self-conscious when you speak Italian. This is a major milestone in language learning, and it happens naturally through repeated exposure. It also reduces anxiety. Now, studying the traditional way can become overwhelming with tests, rules, and the fear of making mistakes. But comprehensible input flips that by making understanding the main focus, not flawless performance. This lets you relax and really enjoy the learning experience, and less stress means your brain is much more better at acquiring the language. It also strengthens your listening and reading skills. As you expose yourself to more natural Italian, your brain gets faster and smarter at processing the language. You begin to spot common patterns, guess what's coming next, and pick up on new vocabulary through context clues, which are all key steps for becoming fluent in Italian. It also makes learning fun. Now this might be the best part. You actually enjoy it. Whether you're watching an Italian show or tuning into a true crime podcast or browsing Italian social media accounts, it doesn't feel like you're studying at all. When you're entertained, you forget that you're studying, and this is one of the most effective ways to learn the language. It also rewards consistency. Like any habit, the real magic comes from doing it regularly. Now, this doesn't mean you necessarily need to spend 3 hours a day immersed in Italian. Even 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference. Watch a short video over breakfast. Read a page or two over lunch. The secret is small daily doses that keep you connected to the language. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet. Just click on the link in the description below this video. Okay, so where does grammar and speaking practice fit in with all of this? Well, comprehensible input is an incredibly powerful tool in your Italian learning journey, but it's not a magic pill or a magic wand. Like any effective method, it works best when it's part of a well-balanced language learning routine, or language learning diet, I should say. Sure, it helps you absorb words and structures and expressions naturally, but if you're not using what you're learning, it's easy to get stuck in that I understand Italian, but I can't speak it phase. So if speaking Italian is your goal, which I'm guessing it probably is, input alone won't get you there. You need output too. And if you want to understand fast-spoken Italian, don't miss my 5 tips in this video right here. As for the grammar, learning the basics like how verbs work, what different word endings mean, and how to use prepositions and more, now these give you the tools to make sense of what you hear and read. But without that foundation, comprehensible input won't actually be all that comprehensible. Now, Stephen Krashen called this the monitor function, the little internal voice that checks your speaking and writing using the grammar knowledge you've studied along the way. So no, you don't need to memorize 100 verb conjugations before diving into Italian content, but with a solid knowledge of the fundamentals of the language, the rest starts to make sense much, much faster. So in short, comprehensible input is a key part of learning Italian, but it's not enough on its own. While it mirrors how children acquire language, remember that babies aren't just passively absorbing sounds. They're constantly interacting, getting feedback, repeating what they hear, and being corrected in real time. As adult learners, we need those same elements. We benefit from some structure, someone or something that explains how the language works, helps us practice using it, and guides us when we get stuck. That support can come from a course, a teacher, a tutor, or a textbook, even a conversation partner. Now, if you want some structure and support as you learn Italian, make sure you check out Intrepid Italian, my series of online self-paced video courses that walk you through exactly what you need to know to start speaking confidently using my proven unique 80-20 method. Just visit intrepiditalian.com for more details. Now let's move on to how you can use comprehensible input to learn Italian. Now that you know what comprehensible input is and why it's so important, let's look at how you can actually use it in your learning routine. Here's a simple 3-step plan to get you started. First, identify your current level. Before diving into Italian podcasts or YouTube channels and Netflix shows, it's important to know where you are now. Are you an absolute beginner at A1, a solid intermediate at B1 or B2? Or maybe you're heading into the advanced C1 territory. If you are, congratulations. Knowing your level of Italian will help you choose input that's right for you. You want content that you can mostly understand with just enough new words or expressions to keep you learning without constantly reaching for the dictionary. Not sure about your level? Take my free online Italian level test right here. Second, you need to find content you actually enjoy. After figuring out your level of Italian, the next step is to find compelling input, something interesting enough to make you want to keep exploring. Krashen stressed that the best material is more than just interesting. It's engaging enough that learning happens almost effortlessly because you're enjoying yourself or feeling connected to what you're consuming, what you're listening, watching, or reading. So pick topics that you love, whether that's cooking or crime dramas, fashion, travel, or juicy celebrity gossip. Now, TV is a classic choice. Italian movies or series on Netflix, for instance, are packed with everyday language, idioms, and authentic accents. Now, even if you don't catch every word, you can often follow the plot through the visuals, tone, and actions, and you can always turn on Italian subtitles, making these effective comprehensible input resources. Reading is another great way to get comprehensible input too. Start with classic fairy tales like Pinocchio, Riccioli d'Oro, Goldilocks, or Cappuccetto Rosso, Little Red Riding Hood. These stories are simple, familiar, and with lots of repetition, which helps build your confidence. As you get better, try moving on to short stories or full-length novels that match your level. For inspiration on what to read, don't miss my guide on the top 30 Italian books for each level. Just click on my video lesson right here. Finally, if you like to multitask, Italian podcasts are a handy way to sharpen your listening skills during your commute to work, while you're going for a walk with your dog, or running errands, or even doing chores. Some podcasts even have video versions, which provide helpful visuals, especially if you're just starting or find watching easier than just listening. And thirdly, take notes by hand. Want to make the most of your Italian input? Make sure you write things down with a pen and paper. Yes, it might feel a little old school in our digital world, but research shows that writing is one of the most powerful tools for remembering new words and phrases faster. Why? Because writing forces your brain to slow down, focus, and actively process what you're learning. You don't just see the word, you engage with it. That deeper mental connection makes the information stick much better than typing or passively reading. So when you're listening to a podcast, watching a video, or reading something in Italian, grab a notebook and start jotting down things like new expressions or phrases that you see or hear repeatedly, words you figure out from context, full sentences or useful chunks you'd like to use when speaking. These handwritten notes become your own personal language bank. You can revisit them regularly, turn them into flashcards or speaking prompts, and use them to grow your vocabulary in a way that feels natural and meaningful. Think of your notebook as your Italian fluency companion, one page at a time. Are you ready to try comprehensible input for yourself? Now, if you want to improve your Italian fluency with this method, then make sure you check out my course, Intrepid Italian for Confident Conversations. This is one of my self-paced online courses that helps you understand and use colloquial Italian through content that you'll actually enjoy. You can find out more about that in the description below this video. Now, to continue your learning and to help you practice everything that you've learned here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet. Again, it's listed below this video. If you enjoyed this lesson, then you'll love Intrepid Italian, my series of online self-paced video courses that break down everything you need to know about Italian using my unique 80-20 method. More details in the description below. And if you enjoyed this lesson, don't miss my lesson on why you can understand Italian but still can't speak it. Just click right here. Plus, if you struggle to understand fast spoken Italian, make sure you watch this video right here. In the meantime, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications so you get an alert when I post more video lessons like this one. Until next time, un abbraccio. Ciao!